Right ahead. We are ready.
All right.
Well, I'll speak out loud, but I think we're ready.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I think it's finally stopped raining for a little while, but I think we're going to miss that rain in a few weeks when we're not getting any. My name is Vanessa. I'm with the Dallas Public Library, and we partner with the Department of Environmental Equality and Sustainability on this program series, Earth Day Every Day. We have a very exciting presentation today. Just a few housekeeping things. You will be on mute during the presentation. However, if you have questions for the presenter, you can put those in the chat message, and we'll get to those after the presentation. Also, this is being recorded, so if you do not want to appear on the recording, you can turn off your camera. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kevin Overton with OEQS and let him introduce our speaker for today. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Okay, thank you, Vanessa. We really appreciate this. Before I introduce our speaker, let me kind of give you a little rundown on what we're doing here. We have decided to make June our clean air month, so to speak, with Earth Day Every Day. So in addition to today's presentation on state of North Texas air quality, on June 17th, we have Jonah Polk from EPA Region 6, who's going to talk to us about environmental justice, and Dr. Kathy Jack from the Nature Conservancy, who's going to give us an update on a really exciting program that we take part in called Breathe Easy Dallas. On June 24th, we have Rachel McGregor from the Texas Trees Foundation, and Rachel is going to talk to us about the Urban Forest Master Plan and urban heat island effect and how the urban forest impacts our air quality. And we're going to try to get her to talk a little bit about the exciting program that Texas Trees Foundation is doing with some of our partners over in the Dallas Medical District along Harry Hines. Also, we have Dr. Yolanda Penegrees and Akshay Arora from the Parkland Center for Clinical Information, and they're going to talk about the relationship between air quality and our health. So I think we have some exciting programs lined up all month this month, and we're going to kick it off with this first one with State of North Texas Air Quality, to kind of set the table to talk about what some of the issues are and make sure we're all up to speed on what's going on. And to do that program, I am honored to have Jenny Narvaez here with us today. Jenny has been with the North Central Texas Council of Governments for a long time.
17 years.
How many? 17 years. Okay. You've been with the Council of Governments longer than I've been with the city of Dallas. Jenny and her team over at the North Central Texas Council of Governments Transportation Group are the regional experts on air quality in North Texas. They pretty much set the standard for working with air quality and all the regulations and all the different programs, be they state, federal, or local. So without anything else, I'm going to turn it over to Jenny, and everyone, I hope you enjoy the program. I think it'll be really exciting. So thank you, Jenny, all yours.
Thank you, Kevin. Well, all of you, welcome. Thank you for having me. Just one thing, I cannot see the chat, so if there are some questions that come up, maybe if
we will monitor the chat for you, and then at the end of the presentation, we'll feed them back to feed the questions back to you. Okay.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to give you all a little bit of background. So what we monitor here in North Texas, I mean, we do monitor a lot of different types of pollution, but we are in non-attainment for the pollutant ozone, which is a gas that is composed of 3 oxygen atoms that combine. Now, ozone, you probably heard, we mostly hear about stratospheric ozone, and that's like the ozone that, a while back had a hole in it. It may still have a hole in it. That's not my area of expertise. So I wouldn't know, but anyway, stratospheric ozone forms really high in the atmosphere. And this is what we call good ozone. It's far away from us. It shields us from the sun's ultraviolet light. So it's good. Ozone is meant to be not near us. And then we have, unfortunately, ground level ozone, and that is what we are primarily concerned with. This particular ozone is referred to as bad ozone. And it forms, actually, it's not directly emitted from any source. Like ozone doesn't come out of the back of a tailpipe, or it doesn't come out of a smokestack. It's the combination of two pollutants, nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds. So that's NOx and VOC. And these two pollutants do react together in the presence of sunlight, and that's what forms ozone. And so you see a lot of ozone formation on real sunny, warm days with low wind. And so that's prime weather for ozone to form. And so what we are primarily concerned with, because I do work in transportation, we focus on emissions of NOx. Now we do also track emissions of VOCs too, but the NOx emissions are what we are concerned with, because those come out of the tailpipes of vehicles, and they come from other sources as well. So why do we care about ozone? Basically because it does have health impacts. It does make it a little bit more difficult to breathe if you're outside exercising, for example. It sometimes, if there's a high ozone day, the air almost feels kind of heavy or muddy, if you will. So, you know, it's a little bit harder to breathe. It can cause shortness of breath. It can actually cause painful, you know, inhalation. It can cause coughing, sore, scratchy throat. It can actually damage the airways. And people who have existing lung problems like asthma, emphysema, or chronic bronchitis, they are actually more sensitive to high ozone days. And that can also, it can increase asthma attacks. It does make the lungs more susceptible to infection. And it is particularly harmful to children and elderly people as well. So this is why the Environmental Protection Agency does have, you know, limitations on, you know, on ozone, and among other pollutants as well, because it is damaging to both plant and animal life. Okay, so like I just mentioned, ozone is not directly emitted from any source. It is the combination of VOCs and NOx in the presence of sunlight on a very mild, nice, warm day. Actually, when the weather gets too hot, I mean, we haven't experienced that yet this summer, amazingly, but when it gets up into the hundreds, you don't see as much ozone formation. So anyway, now, so where do you see emissions of VOCs and NOx? You see VOC emissions a lot from biogenic sources. So that's basically, biogenic is like just natural sources, like trees emit VOCs, plants emit VOCs, forest fires emit VOCs. You see a lot of NOx emissions from on-road vehicles like cars and trucks. You see them they come out of planes. VOCs come out of lawn mowing equipment, and you know, different area sources, such as a good example there, you see a paint drum. Another type of area source is dry cleaning, the dry cleaners that are scattered around the region. And then point sources are more direct emitters like smokestacks, power plants, things like that. So this is where these different pollutants are emitted. So be it that ozone is formed primarily on nice, warm, sunny days, we do have a ozone season, and our ozone season in particular, that's where we see the highest amount of ozone emitted, or I'm sorry, formed. And that spans in our region from March 1st to November 30. That should be read November 30th, not 31st. Sorry about that. So that is our ozone season, and that is when we, the Council of Governments, I mean, we track ozone formation year round, but this is when we really report it to the public, the different results of that. Okay, so the map that you see here is a map of our region. The blue dots that you see there are the different ozone monitors that these are regulated by the state as well as the federal government. You see them scattered just across in different counties throughout the region. The peach area is our ozone non-attainment area. So if you can see, the whole peach area is our 8-hour ozone non-attainment area. We're actually classified under 2 different standards right now. One is the 2008 ozone standard, and the limit for that is 75 parts per billion. That's the limit of the amount of ozone that we can have out in the region. And then we have a more stricter standard, that's the 2015 ozone standard. And the limit for that is 70 parts per billion. I know I'm probably talking in too much science jargon, but just bear with me for a minute. So the 2015 boundary consists of the 10 counties, the peach area that you see there minus Rockwall County. And then the 8-hour ozone standard encompasses all of those counties there. Okay, so who are we exactly? The North Central Texas Council of Government houses, we are the regional planning agency for North Central Texas. We are also the metropolitan planning organization. So basically what that means is that we plan all of the majority of the roadways that you drive on out there in the region. We work with the Department of Transportation, Environmental Protection Agency, Federal Highways, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, that's the state. We work with our local counties, our cities, all sorts of different entities in planning and developing this. And we also house the Local Clean Cities Coalition, which I'll talk to you more about here in a second. So because we do plan all of the roadways, all of the long congested roadways in our region, we have been given the charge with trying to reduce ozone pollution in our region, because a lot of the NOx emissions, which lead to the formation of ozone, comes out of all of the cars and trucks on our roadway. Okay, so regional air quality efforts. So basically what we're focused on we're focused on a lot of regional concerns but we also have legal obligations as well. So what I mentioned is that the Environmental Protection Agency designates areas as non-attainment or attainment for the pollutant ozone. We do also, so we focus on that and we deal with that, and we work with different entities to try to get the ozone levels decreased. We do this nonstop every year. And so, as such, we have also determined that, obviously there is a health component to the high levels of ozone that we have. And so we have, we initiated what's called the North Texas Air Quality Health Monitoring Task Force. And this is a regional collaborative effort that is actually in response to requests received from North Texas local governments concerning the impact of air pollution on public health, especially transportation-related air pollution. The task force is made up of government representatives, health officials, academic representatives, and air quality experts who meet on a quarterly basis to address concerns over localized air pollution. The objective of this group is to bring together a group of government representatives, health officials, academia, and air quality experts to evaluate data that may indicate a need for additional air quality improvement strategies to address all the concerns with air pollution. And we also have what's called a Regional Integration of Sustainable Efforts, or RISE, and this is another collaborative effort we have with cities, and we also have a water district that did just join that. And The goal of that is to help, again, reduce emissions, emissions of all different types. And so that is yet another collaborative effort. We actually have a lot of collaboration going on in case you haven't noticed. Okay. So like I talked about, we're the MPO, we are the planning agency, and we also house the Dallas-Fort Worth Clean Cities Coalition. This is the Clean Cities Coalition works to advance energy security, protect the environmental and public health, and stimulate economic development with strategies to reduce transportation energy impacts and improve air quality. The primary focus of this, is in the transportation sector, collaborating with vehicle fleets. So this can be, public or private fleets like a city fleet or, some other type of fleet. And we work with them to try to, get them to switch over from the vehicles that were used to driving, like the gasoline vehicles and the diesel vehicles, to put them into alternative fuel vehicles. And along with that, to also help them reduce idling time. And, instead of, fleets of vehicles leaving their vehicles just on sitting in a parking lot or wherever they're parked, to try to get them to turn off their vehicles and to provide some type of means to where they could possibly, have the air conditioning on in their vehicle without it necessarily sitting with the engine on. And we also work to implement other fleet efficiency practices. Our Clean Cities stakeholders have over 23 million, they save over 23 million gallons of gasoline each year, that's a big accomplishment. More than 80% of the total US population lives inside a Clean Cities Coalition boundary, so that's good. Across the country, local coalitions serve as the foundation of the Clean Cities program by working in communities to, again, increase energy savings from efficiency projects, and also increasing fuel diversity, trying to get those fleets into different types of fuels, like, like electric vehicles or, some type of hybrid. And each coalition is led by an on-the-ground Clean Cities coordinator. Our coordinator for our region is Lori Clark. She does, of course, work with the North Central Texas COG. And these coordinators tailor projects and activities to basically capitalize on the unique opportunities in our region. They serve both as educators and problem solvers for their local stakeholders. Okay, so what are some impacts that the Clean Cities has had in our region? So to date, we have reduced about 26 million gasoline gallon equivalents of energy. We have reduced that, and we've done so in the form primarily of alternative fuel vehicles. Again, trying to get your traditional gasoline and diesel vehicles off the road and put them into a cleaner type of fuel. We are fuel neutral. We don't care what type of fuel you're going to use, not you in general, but fleets. As long as it does help reduce emissions. So that may include hybrids, which you see here in the light green. Also, we promote fuel economy improvements and, again, idle reduction, turning off the vehicles. And we also do look at non-road equipment, which I'll talk to you more about here shortly. Let's see here. The Clean Cities has coordinated efforts in reducing upwards of 400 tons of NOx. And so, like I said, that's the large component that goes into the formation of ozone. So we have managed to do that. That's equivalent to about 1.6 tons per day, and that's a good amount. We've also reduced upwards of 70,000 tons of greenhouse gas emissions. And that is equivalent to eliminating about 3,000 tanker trucks of gasoline on the roadways. So that's a pretty good amount. We're really proud of that. We interact and work with 42 fleets right now. And there are close to 10,000 different alternative fuel vehicles and equipment that have somehow, form or fashion, we have touched. Okay, so moving on to regional air quality. So this is a snapshot of ozone season data spanning back to 1999. So, you know, long story short, what you can see here, the red line shows the regional average of ozone for each ozone season going back 20 years or so. You can see the green line, you know, was one of the earlier standards that was set out by the EPA, and that was at 85 parts per billion. So about every 3 to 5 years, the EPA reviews the standards and determines if, you know, this is actually helping improving, you know, the condition of the air. Is it, what health impacts are there, both with animal and plant life? And if they're seeing that there's still issues out there, then they, you know, they revise the standard. So as you can see, we had a 1997 standard that was 85. That then turned into a 2008 standard that went down to 75 parts per billion. And then now we have a 2015 standard that is less than or equal to 70 parts per billion. So every few years, they reevaluate it and may get a little bit more stringent. So what you can see here, currently, if you look all the way to the right, you see a red dot that says 71. So that is our average right now for this particular ozone season. So we are a little bit above the 2015 standard, but we're still under the 08 standard. So we shall see. But long story short, the air is getting better slowly, okay? So that's a good thing. So let's stay positive here. Okay. And so this is a snapshot of the different exceedance days that we have had over the years, going all the way back to 1998. So the numbers that you see are the number of exceedance days. So let's look at 2020. There were a total of 21 exceedance days. 18 of those fell between the average of 71 to 85 parts per billion. And then 3 of them, we had a red day. We had red days. Those fell between 86 to 105 parts per billion. So those were a little bit high. But I mean, again, what you can see over the years is that we have fewer red days, which is good. And the number, generally speaking, has greatly decreased over the years. Now our ozone season started in March, April, May. So we're about 3 months into it. This summer is interesting because, you know, we've had a lot of rain. It's been a little bit cooler out. I mean, right now, I think in early June, I'm not a meteorologist here, but memory serves, it's always seemed like it would be scorching hot by now, and it's doable outside. It's not too bad. So right now we have had 2 exceedances for this ozone season, and both of them are sitting at the orange level. Okay, so you know, I went over the different sources talking to you about where NOx is emitted from. And so this pie chart shows the, you know, what of the different sources that I spoke about, like how much NOx is coming out of those different sources. So what you see here, we have area, that's like the dry cleaners I talked about. You have the point sources, you have off-road mobile, that's like planes and trains, and then you have non-road mobile, that's like construction equipment and things like that. So because I work in the transportation department, and we focus primarily on-road mobile vehicles. So this is trucks, this is cars, things like that. And so the majority, looking at the pie chart, the majority does come from on-road mobile vehicles. And then the majority of that, 88 tons per day, does come from medium to heavy duty vehicles. Light duty vehicles like our cars and our small trucks do have a significant role in it, but a lot of the emissions do come from the larger trucks that are on the road. Okay, so within our department, within our air quality team that is in our departments, we focus on different emphasis areas, and there is 7 of them. So we focus on high emitting vehicles and equipment. So transportation vehicles that emit, that are high emitters. We focus on trying to reduce idling for all of these vehicles. We also focus on hard acceleration. So basically what that means, like say you're at a stoplight and there's no one in front of you, it turns green and you floor it. That's a hard acceleration. We also focus on low speeds. You know, with a lot of the congestion out there, you're stuck in traffic. A lot of emissions do come out of your vehicles at low speeds. And so, you know, low speeds, slow, you know, if you're, you know, sometimes it's almost equivalent to idling. So we want to try to get rid of low speeds. Cold starts, what that is when you go out and you start your vehicle for the first time all day. That's what's considered a cold start. So we do focus on, you know, what's called trip chaining. So if you are going to go run errands, it's good for you to go out and, you know, run all your errands at the same time, not leave your house, go to the grocery store, come back, sit there for like an hour or two, then get back in your car, go out, you know, I don't know, go take the kids to somewhere or something like that. So you want to try to do everything all at once as best as you can. We also, the last 2 are reducing vehicle miles of travel and also energy and fuel use. So vehicle miles of travel is basically, it's the number of miles that your car drives. So we want to try to get that number down as best we can. And we can do that through, you know, carpooling and van pooling, or, you know, yeah, just trying to combine your travel. And then also reducing energy and fuel use. So this slide is a snapshot of the different air quality programs and initiatives that help support the emission reduction efforts across the region. All of these do somehow in some way, either we have developed them here at COG or they do somehow flow through the COG out to the region. Again, the primary focus is on light and heavy duty vehicles and equipment, which is responsible for the majority of ozone forming emissions. Okay, so for the remainder of my presentation, I'm going to go over different programs and different projects at the end, if I have time, that we work with to try to reduce ozone forming emissions. And some of these I'm going to go over in a little bit more detail, like electric vehicles. So, you know, and then some I will just lightly touch upon. Okay, so electric vehicles, I'm sure all of you have heard of those. And so what's the benefits of electric vehicles? They help the air. Yay. They lower vehicle maintenance. They have less parts that are moving, so less need to take them in and have them worked on. They are affordable now, and they also have a consistent fuel price. You don't have to go out and fill up your car, and it's not a different price every time you go out and get you know, energy for it. There is energy security, and they are high performing now. So they have come a long way. You don't have to be a gazillionaire to get one of these vehicles now, which is great. So today's, there are different types of electric vehicles. You have like a total electric vehicle. So you never have to put any type of other fuel in it. You basically plug it into the wall, and that is the power for your car or truck. Then you have plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, which is, you know, you can put gas in it or you can plug it in, and, you know, so it takes either. And then you have an electric vehicle or a battery electric vehicle. So yeah, those are the different types. So, okay. Yeah, and also the Texas, we monitor the registered vehicles in our region, and about 28% of the electric vehicles are plug-in hybrids, and 72% of all the electric vehicles in our region are battery electric vehicles. So they only run on a battery, and we plug them in. Okay, so there are different types of charging infrastructure or ways to charge an electric vehicle. You have a level 1, which is basically you take a plug and plug it into the wall of your house. That's what's considered a level 1 charge. So you get about, it's a lot slower. You get about 2 to 5 miles per 1 hour of charge. A level 2 is it's stronger. So and you can get 10 to 20 miles per 1 hour of charge. And then you have what's called a fast charge. And this is also a rapid charge where within 20 minutes of charge, that can give you about 60 to 80 miles in your vehicle. So these are the different levels. Okay, so now looking at the emission benefits that do accompany these vehicles. So what you see here, let's see how it's the best way to explain this. Well-to-wheel emissions. So what that means is that when we look at the benefits of these types of vehicles, we look at the whole lifetime of the vehicle. So what that means is that we look at from the development of the vehicle all the way until it's run out of its useful life. So we have pump to wheel, well to pump, and then well to wheels. And so long story short, you can see here that the electric vehicles, the charts that you see are the emissions that come out of it. And the electric vehicles have significantly less emissions, and that does incorporate as best as we can figure out, taking into consideration the power plants as well, okay? Because obviously the power plants are what we use as the fuel for our vehicles. Your electricity has to come from somewhere, right? So the conventional vehicles and then the hybrid electrics, which take gasoline and electricity as well, and then the plug-in hybrids, they do still have, a gasoline component to them. And so you do see a little bit higher emissions in those. Okay, so what we do here at the Council of Governments in our electric vehicle program, we have a program that's called Electric Vehicles North Texas, and there's a lot of work that is done in that particular area. So we promote and try to find different funding opportunities towards that can help towards the purchase of electric vehicles, as well as developing different infrastructure, like different areas where people can go and plug in their vehicles. We also, try to highlight different makes and models as they become available. This technology is always changing, and it has gone down in price. And there's a lot more opportunity now for just any John Q. public to go out and purchase an electric vehicle, which is great. We also try to we do a lot of outreach for it. So things like this, consist of what's called National Drive Electric Week. We also do, we provide different recognition to public and private fleets out there. And we also provide a newsletter. We host webinars and workshops. And then we also provide a lot of technical assistance, with the installation of EV charging too. So a lot of this is focused around outreach and education. So, and I do want to promote this. So this is an alternative fuel station locator. This is on our website, and it's through the Department of Energy, and you can go on this map. It's really cool. So if you go to that, it's on our website, but you can also go to that website that you see there. You can actually download it on your phone. So if you have an iPhone or an Android, I'm holding my phone. Okay, there you can see it. You can download this. And so if you are in an electric vehicle driving around, you're like, oh no, where am I going to charge? You can just, you type in your location, you type in the type of fuel that you need, and then wherever you are, it'll show you all the different stations that are around you, all the different locations. So it's pretty cool. So, things like this help you plan. I know a lot of people have been traditionally worried about going out or driving an electric vehicle for fear that they're going to run out of, power to drive their vehicle. So this does help eliminate some of those concerns. Okay, so this this is the electric vehicle infrastructure in North Texas. Back when these vehicles started becoming more prominent on the roadways, just prior to that, we worked with all the different manufacturing companies to try to, get these types of charging locations in our region. So, we do have a pretty good amount. And this is the dots, like the orange dots show out the level 2 chargers. Some of the yellow dots show level 2 chargers, but there's limited access. There's DC fast chargers sprinkled around, so on and so forth. So that's, yeah, we have come a long way. And this is something that our electric vehicles program does continue to monitor and make, make the public aware of. Okay, so like I mentioned, people have always been a little bit worried about, oh, well, how far am I going to be able to go in my car? So like I said, electric vehicles they've come a long way. So according to NREL, or the National Renewable Energy Lab, today's batteries can last about 12 to 15 years in moderate climate. So, moderate, that doesn't mean, absolutely freezing cold out or scorchingly hot out, like all year round. So in a moderate climate, these can last a while. And the little chart here with all the cars on it, it does show you the different range of vehicles. And, back in the day, these cars sold for $200,000, and, the majority of us couldn't afford those. But now they have come down in price. And even though they've come down in price, their range, or the number of miles that they can drive on one charge, has greatly increased. So that's really good. So here you can see the cost of the vehicles, and this is after all the incentives that are applied, and the range of the vehicles that, how far they can drive. And we do provide some examples for the Nissan Leaf down there at the bottom, and how that has evolved over time. So you can see, like in the beginning, the 2011 Nissan Leaf, starting out, it only went about 75 miles. And, now as compared to the 2020 Nissan Leaf, that you've seen a 42% increase in range. Now it can go about 215 miles on one charge. So these are becoming, again, these are forever changing, and they're becoming, much more efficient as time goes on. So how do electric vehicles impact the grid? This is a question that a lot of people ask. There has been concern that, oh, if we get too many vehicles, then the whole grid will collapse. That's not going to happen. On average, about 3 electric vehicles are equal to that of one home consuming electricity. Okay, so one of these cars, or if you get say 3 or 4 on your street, you're not gonna have a transformer explode. We work very closely with Encore, which is our electric delivery company, and we also work with the statewide, the state folks who work with monitoring electricity. We work with ERCOT as well, and we have been very careful and treaded lightly, because no one was 100% sure about how the rollout of these vehicles, how they would affect the grid. And this is what has been proven, is that they really don't suck down all the power. So that's good. Okay, so while we're all very excited about plug-in electric vehicles and how these don't use gas, emissions don't come out of them, it's all fine and good. There has been concern about, well, we're still pulling energy from the power plants, and they emit emissions. So along with that, as part of our program, we have looked into utilizing renewable energy, like solar energy, for example, to provide electricity for electric vehicle charging. And the benefits of that are, say we have another hopefully we never will, but you know, a snowmageddon, I hear that's what people are calling it, like what happened in February when, anyway, I won't talk about it. You know, the benefits are if you have solar panels out there, then you won't, you know, you'll be able to still charge your vehicle with your solar panels, something like that. So, you know, it's resilient against different outages and natural disasters. Also, overall reduced emissions impact. You're pulling the energy, you know, you're not using the energy from the power, from from the electric generating units or the power plants. You're using them from renewable energy, so emissions are even more reduced. And no grid connection is needed. It's mobile. If you want to move around, you can. Okay, so total cost, EV total cost of ownership. So basically what this shows is the whole, the cumulative costs for gasoline vehicles versus electric vehicles. And they, in this graph, they're comparing two BMW cars. One is completely electric and the other is completely gasoline. And the gasoline one is the red line. And so at the point of purchase, they're generally about the same as far as cost goes. But over time, which, you know, sometimes people don't really think about, is that you're going to be putting, you know, money into the maintenance of your car, filling up your car if you drive a gasoline vehicle, and all of this plays into it. And generally speaking, the driving a gasoline vehicle, you know, over the span of, you know, 10 to 15 years, even five to 15 years, will cost you more than driving a completely electric vehicle. And again, you know, that includes fuel cost, maintenance costs. There's less moving parts in an electric vehicle, so you don't have to be concerned with that. Okay, so this just shows you how the amount of electric vehicles in our region has greatly increased. We have since, you know, since these really started becoming or hitting the marketplace, driving around in North Texas, you can see there in the blue line, I'm sorry, the blue, whatever you call that, has increased, and that's the total battery. That's vehicles that are just drive on electricity, and also the plug-in hybrids have also increased as well. We have almost 14,000 electric vehicles driving around North Texas, so that's a pretty good amount. These are they are starting to become popular. Okay, again, this just shows, you know, global fleet composition projected to be in electric vehicles from 2020 to 2040. Won't go into that. Okay, so one thing I do want to touch on is, like I mentioned, we do provide, you know, resources to both, you know, the public and, you know, fleets and just, you know, private industry as well. So we do have a funding page, which you see here, nctcog.org/AQ funding. That's all the different funding funding for projects that address air quality, like clean vehicle projects that are available. So we pull from all the sources that we can, the federal, the state, local, nonprofit, what have you. And then, you know, this is a page that we update constantly. We're also always on the lookout for different funding opportunities, which we apply for as the COG. And then we somehow try to then get that out to the region in some form or fashion. So these are the different credits that are available. There is different opportunities that are available for new passenger and light duty electric vehicles. And, you know, there's different percentages that can be removed. at the point of purchase. So there are different incentives that are still out there. They are, fewer and far between, more so than they were in years past, but they still are out there. And I do encourage you that if you have any questions or if you want to, look into further, visit our AQ funding page. Okay, so that was electric vehicles. And I did skip through some of the slides just for the interest of time. Oh my gosh, it's already 12:46. Kevin, what should we do here? Can I keep going or do we need to stop?
No, I think you can keep going.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to swiftly go over some other programs and projects that we have here at COG to help improve air quality. One being the Engine Off North Texas. This is a regional initiative that is dedicated to reducing idling. We connect with we connect the public with resources from local governments, highlighting different ordinances and policies out there that encourage, and this is focused on heavy duty diesel vehicles to try to get them to stop idling. And one thing I do want to point out here is that there is an idling complaint hotline. I know you don't like to tell on people, but we encourage it. So there's a phone number that you can call. It's 1-877-NTX idle, North Texas idle. And you can also visit our webpage and you can file a complaint there. And so basically, this is a map of all the different idling restrictions that we have right now currently in our region. You can see in Tarrant County and Dallas County, there are pretty good, fair amount of idling restrictions that we have out there. And it's basically, you see this sign here, like those signs are, they're posted around areas where a lot of trucks tend to park. And so we do post those. And so the truckers are aware. And so we have those out there. We also have electrified truck stops where truckers can go. A lot of truckers do, they have to stop and they have to rest, as it's a law, they have to rest. And so, it gets hot in Texas. And so these are different areas they can go plug in their vehicles. And so they don't have to idle. They can, still turn on their air conditioning and be comfortable within their cabs while they are sleeping or resting, whatever. Okay, so we also provide a toolkit. I'll go and see that. Okay, and so that was the idling. We also have a regional smoking vehicle program. This is basically designed to, I don't know, it's probably like once a week I'm driving around and I see some nasty car that's emitting a ton of smoke and emissions. And so basically what this program does is you can call this number 817-704-2552 and report if you see a vehicle driving down the road, basically report that vehicle. You can go online to smokingvehicle.net and fill this out. You do need to have their not their driver's license, their license plate information. So, don't speed and get a ticket trying to, get their information. And if it's available, then great. If not, then it's fine eventually. So we try to get this information out to the region so people can be, if they see a smoking vehicle, they can report that. So you see a lot of tattletaling going on, but it's for air quality, so it's okay. Okay, so then we have the Regional Emissions Enforcement Program. This is developed to help partnering agency identify and remove high emitting vehicles. So basically, the inspection stickers that we all have to get and put on our vehicles, to get that sticker, you do have to, take your car in and get it inspected and, and then you go get the tags, and you can't get your tags until you have the inspection. A lot of people like to skip over the inspection because their car or truck will fail. And so they get these fraudulent stickers. And so basically what this program does when we've partnered with local law enforcement and also inspection stations to try to prevent this from happening. So, and we have made a pretty significant dent in, the fraudulent stickers that have been out there in the region. And, you know, these people they get in trouble and they get fined, or, you know, I don't know if they've gone to jail or not, but they get in trouble. So this is, you know, again, it's just an enforcement. And, you know, a lot of these are, you know, trying to enforce rules that are already out there. Go Solar North Texas, or sorry, Go Solar Texas, again, this is going back to electric vehicles. We have worked to try to get solar technologies adopted throughout the region, you know, both to power cars and homes, of course. And so this is another, you know, while we work in transportation air quality, we tend to sometimes reach out to, you know, things that they're related to air quality and transportation, you know, but sometimes we have to stretch our, you know, our wings and hit other areas. And so this is another program that that we have incorporated here at COG. Okay, and then we have Saving Money Reducing Truck Emissions Program, or SMART. This is outreach to drivers and small fleets. We provide, you know, connections to different technology vendors across the region. You know, any technical assistance that they may need, funding assistance. Again, we are pretty good at finding funding for people. Air North Texas. Okay, I want to cover this. I know it's 12:52, but Air North Texas is a public awareness campaign, which does a lot for, you know, getting out there and, you know, trying to reach out to the general public, everybody, on, you know, concerns with air quality. We aim to generate a consistent region-wide brand promoting different lifestyle changes, behavior changes that help impact our health and environment. We have a website, airnorthtexas.org. There's a blog, there's alert emails, social media. If it's anything relating to social or outreach, Air North Texas is there. So it is a comprehensive air quality resource. Again, we do, you know, we're on social media, Air Quality Awareness Week, what have you. You can go online and join us. And then we also promote Clean Air Action Day, which is coming up this year, August 4th, 2021. What you can do is, you know, sign up and then sign up to participate in the Clean Air Action Day. Basically this particular day, we want you to do it year round, but this particular day you will make an effort to carpool or take your lunch to work instead of leaving in your car and going and driving somewhere. Bike or walk to work if you can, if it's safe. Combine your errands, like I said, trip chaining, avoid idling, turn off your car, and just things like that. Just, you know, you don't have to squish them all of those in one day, but just, you know, try to make a considered effort on this particular day to do that. And then, you know, make that effort every day. And so we basically, you know, it's fun. We make online commitments. People take pictures and post them of, you know, them working from home or whatever on their computers. And, you know, so we make a fun time out of it. Okay. So Kevin, the remaining slides basically are different on-road, you know, like things that we do to also help with air quality. Do you want me to cover that, or do I need to take questions? Or
well, one of the questions is what is the best way for us to improve air quality? You know, what can I do to help improve air quality? So if you have some of the local initiatives or those things, you could go ahead and incorporate that into answering one of that question.
Okay. Well, a lot of these, well, good one. I mean, a lot of these are just regional efforts that we have done over that we do as a COG to help, you know, all people, you know, like van pool, park and ride, you know, obviously. So the best, what you can do to help improve air quality is, you know, keep your vehicles maintained. You know, if you can carpool or take a van pool, you know, basically do some type of commute to work if you can, if you are going into the office physically now. Yeah, and then just basically try to eliminate the number of times that you drive your car. that's my best answer, Kevin. So yeah, these are again just, you know, let's see. We have truck lane restriction programs where, you know, the big trucks that, you know, instead of allowing them to drive in the left lane, which is that's the fast lane, you know, they can't drive in there. They have to, you know, scooch over a few lanes. And so, you know, this helps improve traffic flow. So all of these projects and programs help, you know, basically is trying to remember those 7 areas of emphasis that I showed you in the beginning. Each one of these touches those somehow, you know, by reducing vehicle miles traveled, trying to get rid of congestion, trying to get rid of slow speeds, things like that.
Let me also add the slide you had up on the Clean Air Action Day. There was a lot of things in there that individuals can do to, if you're, you know, the things that every one of us on an everyday basis can do to help reduce air pollution. I mean, that's a question that I get over here in Dallas a lot is, well, what can I do? And well, it's a complicated issue, and these are small steps, but if all of us take them, they account for a lot of it. I mean, I know that we track the miles that our employees here at the city save when they do carpooling, or if they work from home, or if they take their lunch to work, they eat lunch at their desk. We keep track of the miles that they save, and you know, on an individual basis, it's not that much, but when you put it all together, it's a pretty big number, and it really makes a difference. So I just wanted to add that in there. I have another question that came up, and I don't know how much you want to go into this, but I think it's an important question to ask, and that is, what impact did COVID have on air pollution in North Texas?
That's a good question. So it had a significant impact on the amount of cars that were on the roadway. As I'm sure you all, I mean, a lot of people, they stopped going anywhere. So we did see a significant drop in vehicle miles traveled for light duty gasoline vehicles. But that said, we still had our heavy duty trucks out there driving, and that did not change at all. And also, you know, the Amazons of the world and the Federal Expresses, and you know, a lot of people started ordering things online, and so we saw a significant uptick in those vehicles out, the Amazon trucks that you see out in your neighborhood. And you know, people also would go and drive and sit idle in their cars waiting for their groceries to be brought to their car, or their takeout to be brought to their car. So, you know, unfortunately, we didn't see an improvement in air quality due to COVID. Now, that's for our region. Other areas did see a significant, enhancement in their air quality for the good. But we, as you know, in Dallas Fort Worth, we, you know, a lot of people, they still like to eat their, you know, their restaurant food. They still, you know, we still got to go shopping. So, I for one, I had my groceries delivered for a while. Well, I mean, you know, that didn't, you know, really make much of a difference, you know, as far as air. So, I mean, you know, for our particular area, ozone season in 2020 was higher than we thought that it would be. And, you know, and that said, the state is also looking into that. They're trying to figure out, because there's a lot, you know, while cars and trucks are responsible for a lot of the NOx emissions, they aren't the only emitter of that pollution as well. So we have to take that into account also.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. I know that here in my department, I was looking at some of the air monitoring data early on, especially of NOx and PM. And in April and May, it was down quite a bit. And then starting in late May and going into June, it was going back up again. And unfortunately, wasn't able to monitor the rest of the season, but it was, or to look at the rest of the season. But yeah, that reflects exactly what I saw. Okay, now here's another important question. You talked about the ozone standard and how we have not met the ozone standard. What happens if we don't meet the ozone standard? What are the consequences for not meeting the standard?
Well, basically what happens if we don't, let me actually go back to that. So as I'm going back to that slide, if we don't, so take, for example, we did not meet, we had a 2020, around 2021 deadline to reach both the 2008 and the 15 standards. And we didn't meet that. We didn't meet that at all. So basically, we were marginal. So there's different classifications for the standards. There's marginal, moderate, serious, severe, I forget what the others are. So we were classified as marginal for the 2015 standard and serious for the 2008 standard. So because we didn't reach that in time, we basically get bumped up another level. So we have essentially a certain amount of time to reach that next standard. So we were 2020 for the 2008 standard. That was our deadline, and so, or 2021, and so now we have 6 more years to attain that standard. But that said, it's not, they don't just give us more time to reach it. That also comes along with different things that we have to do as a region, like with a severe classification, we have to, there's certain stipulations that go with that. So, different, like for example, different power plants, and, the big plants they're going to have stricter regulations. So, we have to do a vehicle mile travel emission inventory. I'm not going to get into that, but it comes with heavier regulations in general for everybody. So that's not good for our region. We want to bring in, we want to strengthen the economy. We want different companies to come to our region, but with these restrictions on, different areas like the plants, for example, that doesn't, bode well with the different companies. And so it affects our economy. It affects, it does ultimately affect a lot. So we want to try as hard as we can to reach the standard. Now, a lot of times what happens is that when we do have a new standard that gets developed by the EPA, they revoke the previous standard, but that didn't happen this time. That's why we're still under two standards. Does that answer that question? I hope it does.
I think so. Have one more question, then I think we're going to close it off. Do you think that the EPA will be? I mean, it looks like they did it in '97, and then they waited a few years in 2008 and did it, and then in 2015. Do you anticipate that they will be lowering the standard below 70 to 68 or even 65 anytime in the next few years?
They definitely will be revisiting it. So they do that no matter what, every few.
Right. Every I think it's is it 3 or 5 years? I forget.
It's every 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Regardless, if they are going to lower it, they very well may. It gets to the point though, if you get too low, which, I mean, and maybe it does need to get lower, where, it turns into basically, instead of a state implementation plan or a state air quality plan to try to get the state into attainment or the different areas of attainment, it turns into a federal plan, which it basically becomes federalized. And
right.
then everybody has to, try to.
Right.
There's a lot
And
of,
there is a certain background in the area that we will never get below. That's just a
Yeah.
natural that there was ozone here before there was any industry or cars or anything.
well, a lot of times before the first person goes out and starts their car in the region, we already have ozone out there, and this stuff travels. It does, unfortunately, and so they put regions and classifications and certain, like we have 9
Right.
counties now, but that's not to say that a lot of the effects of that, and they also take that into consideration as well. Okay, did they have a high ozone day because of something was drifting in from somewhere else? I mean, all that does play into it.
Right.
If
I
they
know
are,
that the TCEQ has said that a couple of the ozone days that we had last season were caused by smoke and pollution drifting in from wildfires in Colorado and California, which
That's
sounds
correct.
kind of far-fetched, but when you look at the data they have for it, it may make a pretty good case for it.
Yep. In fact, the state is they're filing, I forget the name of it specifically, to the EPA, trying to get the 2 days. I think they were in August.
Yeah.
They're trying to get those knocked off the books, if you will.
Mhm.
And if those do get kicked off, then our region will come into attainment under the 08 standard. But that remains to be seen. So don't quote me on that.
Okay, Jenny, I think we're geeking out here on air quality stuff. I think that kind of covers the questions that I saw on the chat. I don't see anything else.
Okay,
So I appreciate it, Jenny. I think it was a really good presentation, and I may be emailing you to get a copy of it so I can steal some of your slides for
absolutely.
the future. And just once again, let me just say that the city of Dallas really appreciates our partnership with you guys over there. We couldn't do all of the things that we do without you. You have it just really works well, and I really appreciate it. So I guess that's covers it. Thank you, Jenny, very much. And I'm gonna turn it back over to Vanessa to close up, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Really appreciate that. I know I learned a lot about air quality that I did not know. I know my next vehicle is going to be an electric vehicle as well. Hopefully.
It's a complicated topic.
Yes, it is. So I'm putting the link again for next week to continue the conversation on air quality and how it relates to environmental justice. There's a link there if you want to register for next week's. And also, this will be available on the library's YouTube page. So if you want to rewatch it or possibly share it out to other people you think might need to know this important information, I'm going to go ahead and send a follow-up email that will have a link to that as well. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Kevin, and for moderating the questions. And thank you to OEQS for presenting this awesome series that helped us learn more about our environment here in the Dallas area. Thank you so much.
Thanks to Dallas Library for doing this for us. We really appreciate that as well.
Thank you. I'll have a